welcome back to PA Chalk Up. I'm your host Manny, and today we have Anthony. Hi, Anthony. How are we doing?
Good morning. Great. How are you?
Yeah,
As I'm
it's
saying good. I'm saying good morning. I know we're in different time zones, but I guess it's technically still morning where I am.
yeah, yeah. For me, it's 5, but you will be morning for you. Thank you so much for coming on today. Again, we've spoke on the phone for a couple minutes, and again, I just love that we can all connect and sort of bounce ideas off each other and different principles, methods, and all. So excited to get into this episode today. But if you can let us know who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are. As a strength coach and a business owner, my time is quite limited. My favorite part about being a coach is the fact that I get to interact with athletes and be with athletes and really coach them. That's why I use TeamBuildr. I remember the days of searching for exercises, manually typing them in, and spending hours on spreadsheets and organizing my programs. This tends to be quite tedious and a lot of time consuming, which meant that I wasn't able to coach as much. So now for my business, TeamBuildr is a non-negotiable. It's an all-in-one programming platform that lets you create and deliver workouts to your athletes just in a few clicks. With TeamBuildr, I can customize programs, track athletes' progress in real time, and generate performance reports. My athletes get full ownership of their progress and can even share feedback on how they felt the session's going. Having this in place actually gives me more time to coach and be with my athletes. If you're ready to take your next step in your programming, give more time to your athletes, head over to teambuildr.com and use promo code PAChalkup, that's PACHALQUP, and start your 30-day free trial.
Yeah, my name is Anthony. My last name is Morando. I am from Malden, Massachusetts. Malden's about 4 miles north of Boston. I currently live in East Grand Forks, Minnesota. So as of right now, my title, my duty is a general manager of Sanford Sports in Grand Forks, North Dakota. So we have a facility here in North Dakota, and we're a part of a health system, and we have 5 other facilities in the region throughout the state of North Dakota and Minnesota. So I, definitely have had a, a different path coming from Massachusetts, moving to the Midwest. But I've had the opportunity to work for multiple teams, uh, multiple private facilities, and I graduated from Springfield College in 2007. And I played football, and I played football all through high school, all through prep school. I wrestled, I played baseball. So sports have always been a part of my life. And, on and on through grad school and through, I guess, call it a little bit of a quest or a journey through the strength and conditioning path. It's been a lot of fluctuations, a lot of pivots. And, I consider myself lucky, consider myself fortunate, and have had a lot of experience. And that experience has shared its ups, and that experience has shared its downs. And that's what brings me to today.
Perfect. I always like to ask if it's my football or your football. It's a little joke that we have here. Uh, Obviously, for me, your football is soccer, and American football is different.
American football, probably built not built like an American football player like I was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, had about 20 to 25 more pounds. Um, so I don't know if anybody could really guess if I played football or not, but now it's more staying fit.
Perfect. That's all we can do now at this time. What's it like going from sort of teams and that collegiate setting to now being more private and having multiple sport athletes coming in?
I think it's relative to your life. It's relative to different stages of your life. If I was if my wife and I were engaged and we rewound 11, 12 years ago, being in the team setting would be pretty simple. But we have 4 kids. Being in the team setting has its restrictions when it comes to having
Hmm.
a bigger immediate family. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. Secondly, I think when I've been out of the college setting for a little bit now. The college landscape, the athletes, they've certainly changed as well. And it's going to continue to change. So I know that the collegiate strength coach that I was in 2014 and 2017, it would have to be a different strength coach now in 2025. I bet I'd be able to do it. But at the same time, maybe there's certain things that I can't rely on anymore versus now. So things change, and I don't know if I'd be able to be the strength coach I was. Uh,
Mhm.
and then I guess the other response to that is 18-year-olds in certain settings shouldn't be able to dictate your salary. And, you get one bad review from one kid and, it's your gonzo. All of a sudden the structure collapse or the collapse is because they might not have had the most positive experience, but positive experience for everybody is different. So you might have got on a kid, hey, you were late, and currently now, if a kid's late, and if you have some type of verbal agreement or written agreement that hey, you shouldn't be late. If you're late, this is the consequence. Not everybody's going to adapt to that right now.
Mhm.
So I don't feel like sitting in a compromised situation telling the 18-year-old that they need to show up for workout on time or they need to be accountable and get penalized for it. So that's just one variation. I'm sure there's about 100
Yeah.
more, but I'll leave that one at that.
Yeah, I think again, I get to speak with a lot of collegiate coaches, and there's always that mixed review of NIL and how the quick pace changeovers and the you're not able to properly develop the athlete that you want your way. It kind of has to be figuring out the basics, the fundamentals, and sort of making sure that they're there. If not, you have to build them from scratch, and again, because of that quick changeover and monies and all this new issues with coaching them, it does become quite an issue to effectively build that program.
Well, you know what? So it's the I saw it with one of my um, old bosses, mentors a while ago. There's certain people who are always going to figure out or find out or try to find out that what's better than this guy that I currently have? I got this guy in so and so. I got this guy or this guy knows this guy. It's like you got to obviously Coach McKeefery said this. He referred the book to me in 2016. I'll never forget it. Yeah, get the Frosty Westering book, make the big time where you're at. Like you got to capitalize on the resources that you have first. Before you start branching out to every other specialty. And
Hmm.
it's with everything right now. Everything's got this specialized tune to it. Everything has this fancy, sexy tune. Oh, I got to be doing this. I got to be doing more of this. It's like if you can't master those foundational principles that were taught to
Hmm.
you in your first three internships, then don't come to me and tell me that you want to do this sports specific movement that you saw on Instagram that this person put out, that the only reason why they put it out is because they got a ton of clickbait and a ton of followers, right? Not a good trainer. They're not good.
Hmm.
They look great, maybe they look good, but they're not caring, right?
Hmm.
And you were in the college setting. You know what caring is. You know that
Yep.
in order for the athlete to do the things that they need to do, that they want to do, you have to care about them first. But for some reason, that gets pushed to the side.
Yeah. I always refer to conscious coaching as my Bible.
Brett wrote a great
And
book. That's an awesome book.
yep. That was the first when he first launched it. That's when I was getting into the industry, and man, I'm so glad that I picked that. That was my first book. Like it taught me so much about those soft skills. The walking into the weight room. If I've got that military based guy, like I'm asking him, hey, let's do a workout. You pick the exercises. Like I've done that so many times now. That's like I don't mind letting my athletes coach me because it's that bonding experience that if they just want to do fucking the 21 gun salute, I will do that with them. And it's that thing of you have to care about your athletes first and foremost. Everything else will fucking piece together.
Yeah, that common quote is they don't know. That's not about what you know. It's about how much you care. And they don't care how much you know until how much you care. That's true. Like that quote's been thrown around so many times, but you have to, you really have to give a oomph, right? You
Hmm.
have to. And if you don't, then you shouldn't be in this position because if you're in the team setting, you're with these athletes more than any other coach.
Yep.
So you might as well create good relationships first because if you don't, It's going to be you could have a quick tenure at whatever university you're at, right? Eh, And then in the private setting, I mean, it flows the same way in the private setting too. You still have to build
It's
relationships. It's no
it's
ancient
much more
secret.
important.
Yeah,
Yep.
of course. I mean, it's the facility that we're at right now. It's an amazing facility. We're a part of a healthcare system, which I'm very proud to wear. Like when I wear my shirt that I work for, Sanford Health, Sanford Sports Performance. Like it's a really, really, really. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it because of the product that we offer. It's not like I'm
Mhm.
walking around going, "Hey, I'm a trainer." I don't even consider. I don't even. I don't know. More than a trainer for sure. But I'm proud of what we do. We try to improve the human condition, right? And we have a clinical setting in our facility. We're a performance-based facility as well. So we blend that continuum of care well, and it serves to upgrade the human condition, regardless of what road the human is walking into or from, rather, when they walk into here.
This is something that we kind of spoke about, and it's one of the ways that we got connected was through the episode I did with.
Kyle.
It's sort of that thing where, again, our jobs as in private sector, they're so guided by how we present our product. Again, at the end of the day, we are salesmen in the sense that we need to sell them health. But if we can't show that we care about them, they're not coming back. We're not getting a paycheck. And it's that thing where, although it's it's just important to care and to give a fuck about who you have coming in. Um, you did also touch on the health part of Sanford, and I was wanting you to touch a little bit back on that and talk about how the S&C comes in contact with this health and sort of PT avenue that you also have.
Yeah, I think first in response to that, Manny, it's still taboo for the medical or clinical piece to work with the performance piece. Now it's gotten. I'm assuming, right? I can't look at the entire country right now, but the 3 or 4 other places that I've been to recently are doing it. But PTs and strength and conditioning coaches, or ATs, strength and conditioning coaches, like everybody needs to live under the same roof to an extent,
Hmm.
because it's about the people that we're serving. So if you think that you have an exercise that's better, if your TRX row is going to be better than their seated row, then great, wonderful. But how are we going to get this person to retract their scapula and bilaterally pull again, right? Like that's the stuff we really got to look into. But we just gather so much information from our physical therapists. With the clients that they're treating constantly because their clients, our clients, or customers first. I like to say, like, it's a customer first that becomes a client once you establish a relationship and a consistent transaction, right? Like it really is. And within that transaction, hopefully there's some type of transformation. Um, but we have a program here called Shop, and it's basically a back to readiness program where our intention is to make sure that these customers don't leave the facility so they become clients, so there's longevity within our program, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We should make money from that. We're experts at what we do. Well, I never think I'm an expert, but I strive to be. And we should make money on it, and we should be damn well providing a road to a transformation for these people, whether it's recovering from an injury, whether it's losing weight, it's rehabbing an ACL, right? The list goes on. Maybe you have a kid in here who wants to come in and gain weight. Like it goes hand in hand. So we have such a strong sense of the continuum of care within our facility and outside of our facility as well, because we do have other clinics that provide us with that customer. So it's
Mm.
referring, it's relationships, it's everybody kind of talking to each other, being on the same team. And you've been to a national championship. You don't get to a national championship without the proper cohesion. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't
Yep.
happen. So
It also all starts at the top, like the leadership at the top, and the way that the coaches communicate with each other sets the tone for that athlete to know how the program is going to run. Like, again, I will always say that the way that Coach Mac run the program at UW was very eye opening because, like, I'd read his books before being in the internship, and like I didn't realize how about his business he is until you're with him. Like everything that he writes and talks about, he is that person. He's openly said this when we're in the internship and whatnot, is he hires based on the skills that he's not got. So if he's not as confident with the Excel, he'll get someone that's an expert in Excel. If he wants a meathead in that gym and someone that will motivate the athletes to push and grind, he's got someone in there. Like he has coaches in that are very expert at this one thing to build a program. And like even his interns follow the same structure. Like every intern will have a skill that he's wanting to develop, he's wanting to push. At the end of every internship, he sits you down and is like, I think you will have success in this area of SNC. I think you'll have success in that area of SNC. And like it's up to us to then like either take his advice or scrap it. But like he's been long enough in it to know what's about to happen. Um when we're talking about managing that strength and conditioning and health side, how have you sort of integrated and married both into your program?
Say that one more time, Manny. Sorry. How is we what with the program?
So, how have you integrated that S&C and health? You've mentioned the um, shop performance. How does that then work with sort of either tying S&C into rehab or rehab into S&C?
Yeah, I think first off, the staff needs to know how to work with joints. We need to know how to work with joints. We need to know Charlie Weingraf's background, Gray Cook's background, Mike Boyle's background. We need to know joint by joint. Uh, what joints should be mobile, what joints should be stable, how to work with the knee. What phase of rehab is the knee in? Can they unilaterally squat yet? Can they jump yet? Where are they at? What type of phase are we doing with an ACL that's fresh out of 6 months versus 4 months? Things undulate, things change. What are we going to do with a hip surgery, a labrum surgery, or a replacement? We need to know all areas of the body and how to work with them. And we also need to know that from a couple different perspectives, whether it's getting an athlete back on the field or the court or the ice. And in addition to that, though, we have a robust adult membership, robust adult community in our facility.
Mhm.
And they also integrate into our programs from our physical therapy. So we're not only rehabbing athletes and getting athletes back to their performance readiness, but we're also getting adults back integrated into life so they can train, so they can somewhat maintain whatever youth they still currently have.
You this part hasn't actually been brought up on this podcast, and I'm quite glad that you have. Can you run us through what joints should be mobile and what joints should be stable?
Yeah, sure. That's great. I'm glad you asked. So I'm going to start with the foot. Early on, I didn't really learn about the foot. Probably my dumbass self when I in 08, 09. But foot stable, ankle mobile, knee stable, hip mobile, and then hip that can get a little gray because this should be stable in certain situations. But if we're going up the chain, hip mobile, a lumbar stable, and then thoracic mobile, and cervical stable mobile. Again, that gray area, along with the shoulders. There's certain occurrences where your shoulder should be mobile, yet there's certain occurrences where your shoulder should be stable. So that's kind of going up and down the chain. Yeah, I mean, I think I said that well enough. There's a
Hmm.
little bit of gray area with certain joints, as in this gray area in life, in
Yep.
exercise, and everything else.
I
But
always love to say it depends. Like
yeah,
like it depends on so many different factors. Each athlete is also different, so they might actually require a little bit more stability, where they're perhaps a little bit more hypermobile, or
yep.
um, their end range isn't as strong as it could be or should be. So there's always that gray area, 100%.
And I love that you said that. I love that you said that, Manny, because then, even if you can just identify that, say somebody's got really mobile hamstrings. Like I've worked with a lot of hockey players, a lot of hockey,
Or
and
the internal.
yeah, and with the hockey players that I've worked with and being mentored by a couple of the greatest coaches I believe in the world, you start looking for these individual things and you start saying, wow, A goalie's adductors, their long adductors are really, really, really mobile, but their short adductors are really, really, really tight. And then you start dealing with Janda syndrome and you start looking at all the stuff with hockey and you go, boom, mind blown. I can individualize a goalie's training plan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's not that they're not lifting or they're not participating in the common lift, but if you can give them a couple tidbits, a couple extra things to do, or a couple things less to do, they
Mm-hmm.
feel like you put in the extra effort and you got yourself not only a relationship and credibility, but you got yourself a pretty kick-ass program now because it's tailored.
Yep, 100%. I love bringing this up, and it's something I've so at my head I have to do a bunch of stuff all the time, and that's how my brain likes time. Um, so I was learning to program and code websites, and one of the first lessons that they teach is the rubber duck method. I don't know if you've ever heard of it,
No, keep
but
going.
it's a method that you buy a rubber duck, and that rubber duck is always on your desk. And since I learned that trick, there's always a rubber duck on my desk. But it's this theory that if you're having sort of issues with the program that you're running or the program that you're programming, and you can't quite justify or find your mistakes in that program, you speak to this rubber duck and go through and walk through the program. So by the end, it's like in the example of coding, it's you tell the duck your whole code lines and you try and identify where your mistake was. So it's the same. I run the same for my programs. So I will at the end I review each session I review and I'm like, okay, this is what happened, this is what could have been better, this is what was great. And it's that thing where you're conversing, you're speaking out loud about these potential avenues to be better or to identify some things that you could have done better.
Cool, I like it. I just wrote down rubber duck.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's honestly like I've always had a rubber duck, and there was another coach, his name's Albert. He was at Yale and his roommate was a computer science major, and obviously they had the rubber duck theory, but he also now has a rubber duck every desk that he has. His is a little bit better because it's got the Yale logo, but that's the specifics.
Gotcha.
But
Cool.
it's the thing that, and I'm wanting to bring it back to a point that we want to talk about. It's like you you would be doing yourself a disservice if you just looked and learned from S&C. Like Coach Mark has this thing where he will look at other industries and he'll look at how we can use that in strength and conditioning to progress strength and conditioning. Like computer science taught me that. Again, just being a human taught me the caring element of it, and how we would like to be dealt with is how I deal with my athletes. Um, you've got a little bit more to say about this, and it's being more than the trainer. If you sort of give us a little into that and what your thoughts are on our job and how to be more than just a trainer.
Yeah, I think being more than a trainer depends on I guess what you want out of your job. And what are you making your priorities? What are your priorities? What are you trying to do? And I think as you get a little bit older, you start learning things. And I think my epiphany or realization or whatever it is right now is that I've been put here to help people when it comes to exercise. I'm not, oh, you're so motivating. Yeah, I'm not like the word motivation is so watered down. I watched a
Mm-hmm.
podcast with Tony Robbins recently, and to tell you the truth, I'm gonna tell. I wish I could tell him. He's probably not gonna watch this, but I wish I could say to him, "Hey, I said that like 5 years ago, dude. You know, like I said it. The words watered down 5 years ago. He uses the word drive. I don't even know if I'm going to use the word drive. I just want somebody to know that I'm here to represent their have to,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what I'm here to do. I love exercise. It's a big part of my life. It always has been. If it wasn't for exercise, it'd be down a different path, right? And not only do I love exercise, but exercise and the people that I've been associated with through exercise. That's where I come to life. And that's what I bring to life because if it wasn't for those people, and if it wasn't for exercising, and if it wasn't for the involvement in the sports I was involved in, not a good turnout.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good turnout. I wasn't surrounded. I mean, I love where I grew up, but it's not like I was surrounded by, this
Good
greatest
influences.
environment. You can get into a lot of shit where I grew up. It's pretty easy to do it. And, I have a great family, um, but still, you can deviate off that path really fast. So, more than a trainer is what I'm saying right now. Like that inner feeling that I have when it comes to exercise and how it's intangible, and how if you exercise or if you don't exercise, you always regret it when you don't, and you never regret it when you do it. Right?
Hmm.
You're never gonna regret working out. And we see our country. You're in a different country. But we see our country right now, and it's terrible when it comes to obesity. And it's just not just obesity, but it's just people who are unhealthy and they're not doing anything about it. And that's a big deal too. I mean, and it's not political. I would never even get political. I don't even know if it's a political issue. It's an issue where it's a self issue. It's a parenting issue. It's
Hmm.
phones. That's another issue. It's like kids don't do pull ups anymore. Just think about that. They're not repping pull ups out like they used to 30,
Monkey
40
bars.
years ago,
Yep.
right? So that's another item. So all these things that I'm listing, I want people to know that we are more than just trainers. We're not weight guys. I'm not a weight guy. I'm 161 pounds right now. I'm at one of my all-time lightest. I'm fit. I love training. I love doing multiple avenues of training. I want people to know that training is just more than training, and being a trainer is just more than a trainer. There's
Hmm.
intangibles to it. You're upgrading somebody's life. Maybe you're reuniting a husband and a wife that have lost touch physically. I'm going to go
Yep.
through my experiences with you right now so people know that I mean it from the heart. Maybe you're training a kid who's autistic, who's 100 pounds overweight, and they lose those 90 pounds. Maybe you're training a guy who's 300 pounds overweight and he loses 125 pounds. Maybe you're training an amputee. Maybe you're trying to train 11 kids that are trying to get into the NFL, and that 10-yard start is their pathway to it. Maybe you're training a college hockey team that you love more than anything in your life and in this world, and all you want to do is see them win and succeed, right? The list goes on. Maybe you're training your wife, who happens to be a gold medalist, right? And that includes your sister-in-law. Maybe you're training a bunch of little kids who someday are going to be your own, and you want them to
Hmm.
grow up to be good people. No matter what, exercise is induced in those intangibles,
100%.
right? Like, and that's about 10 chapters right there, Manny. But but nobody's going to regret exercising. And if you take the news. Here's all the news outlets, right? And everybody's filming what the most popular trend is now. You got a wearable, or now yoga or CrossFit, or this person's doing this or that. I don't care what somebody's doing. I want people to interact with their mental and physical health and be spiritually receptive,
Mm,
and then involve exercise in that. And then you tell me if that's a bad recipe or not. Because
100%.
you're gonna have, like, if you took top 10 benefits of exercise, Manny, I bet you can name five off the top of your head, and then I can name five. But I guarantee you, mood, right? Intimacy, awareness, confidence, and overall self perception are probably going to be
Hmm.
better.
Cognitive as well.
Cognitive as well. So that, like, it doesn't matter if it's an athlete, it doesn't matter if it's an adult. Honestly, right now, I want to see the kid who's in choir, or I want to
Mm,
see the kid who's playing the drums, right? I want Aerosmith to come in the facility and train. Now they're a lot older now, right? But that's what I mean. Like, I want to see that. I want to see the kid who maybe isn't playing sports but is good at robotics. You want to, like, let's see a kid get jacked and they're really 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 good at school. Exercise is for everyone and everyone can train. That's more than a
fun,
trainer. That's
fun
being more than
fact
a trainer, right?
that you brought up. You want to see the drummer. Know who has an incredible S&C program? Travis Barker.
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm
He
sure
he
he
goes
does.
he
And
goes
he's
ham.
amazing. And
He
he's
goes
amazing.
ham.
I
Yep.
have one of his songs on my workout playlist. And it's the Rich Boy remix of Throw Some D's
Mhm.
on it, right?
Yep.
And they played the song the first time ever in the show Entourage. Now, I don't know if you watched Entourage.
No, I've not.
But Mark Wahlberg produced it. I'm a Boston kid, so I'm going to be biased to that. But I'm watching Entourage, and it used to. HBO has come out with some great shows, and I really like the show because it reminded me of me and a few of my friends. And I'm watching the show, and I'm hearing it's a sneak preview for like I think it's like season 7, and I'm hearing "Throw Some D's on It" by the singer Rich Boy, and I'm hearing this rock and this drums in the background. I'm going, "That's Travis Barker,"
He's got
and
a very unique style.
he's amazing, amazing.
Um, Another thing that you kind of touched on that I don't know if you know who Lachlan Walmon is. He's a strength and conditioning coach in Australia.
Say that again,
Well,
Lachlan. What?
Walmon, I'll pull his page up.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
he's in
pull up.
Australia, and he was on the pod, and we were talking about this concept of caring for more than just what your athlete is in there for. And what he means by that is like, and I to be fair, we connected on this because we both do it. But if I've got an athlete, I have this weekly question. Like week one could be as simple as asking like, what's your favorite ice cream? Week two is like, what's your favorite film? What's your favorite series? And they'll sort of develop that by the end of this sort of couple months. My question will tell me more than just who you are. So one that I love is, if you were stranded on an island, what three things would you bring with you? Again, someone said a plane. I was like, kind of defeats the purpose, but I get it.
Kind of, yeah.
But it sort of like guides you to this. But what Lachlan was talking about was like, you cannot be caught up with being this professional. You have to give your athletes like pieces of string so they can pull, so they can know you as well. As soon as I ask these questions, they'll ask me these questions, and I'll tell you my story. And then it sort of becomes this back and forward with, as soon as they say, "Oh, I my hobbies are X, Y, Z," I don't mind taking time out of my day to going home, researching a little bit about this topic, so I can at least conversate with this athlete or client about what their interests are. And it goes back to that thing of being a human, being that friendly face that they can also talk. And then that develops into having the open door policy, where my door will always be open for anyone to walk in and talk about their day, about their time. There was an athlete that I was coaching, and he came into the weight room. He wasn't himself. Like, you know that feeling when you know someone's there, but it's like there's something off with them, but you can't quite put your finger on. So I was like, "What's wrong with you today? Like, is everything okay? Did you sleep well? Did you eat enough?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm fine." Session keeps going. I was like, "We've got this coming up. Are you feeling okay for it?" I was like, "Yeah, coach, just having some family issues." I was like, "Okay, got it. Let's reduce the load a little bit. I still want you to push that intent, but let's back off load a little bit." And again, at the end of the workout, he came up to me. He was like, "Thank you for that, coach. Like, I know we didn't talk about anything, but it made me realize that you are here for more than just me being an athlete." And it's that thing of, you have to give a shit.
But you have to, and you have to be able to listen.
Mm,
If you don't listen, you can't respond properly. And I'm listening I'm taking in everything you're saying right now. And yeah, you have to be able to listen to them. You also have to have the eye for the details. And on top of all that, too, you said you got to be a good human. You have to be able to know those intangibles. Like
mm,
something's clearly off. And if you're not observing constantly in the weight room, then you're not coaching. So to me,
yep,
that's just a great way of coaching, right? You're a coach. I mean, we're coaches. We're trying to move the vehicle from point A to point B. Dan John said that, and the only way we're going to do that though is if we continue continuity and connection. I mean, if you don't have the connection, you don't have anything,
hmm,
right? And yeah, you it's the art of coaching, it's continuity and coaching, and reducing that load probably took the edge off a little bit for that
hmm.
individual. And
It was an 85% week as well.
yeah, how many how many reps? That's the question.
It was a quad session,
Okay,
5
so
tiers.
it's a good lift.
There was a lot.
Yeah, it's a good lift.
There was a lot. Coach Sachin, he was on one of the very early episodes. He's a private facility as well. I'll pull him out. Um, but he has, and since then I've like, yeah, that's that's an amazing way of doing it. And it's like the fist bump um at the start of every session. Like that will tell you more about how the athlete is coming than any readiness test that you can do to a
Yeah,
certain degree. Like if a kid comes up and just gives you a half-ass bump when they're usually like solid on it, you're like, tell me
yeah.
more.
Kind of like doing a. It's kind of like doing a dynamic warm up with 12 to 16 exercises versus doing a hour and a half screening on somebody.
I've got an interesting way of looking at motivation. I know you spoke about Tony Robertson and how the term motivation is watered down. I like to look at it as intent, and it's that principle of you have to do what you love intentionally, and you have to work out intentionally, even if you're not feeling well. If you at least, I like this principle of, say we've got 85% for the week. But you come in and you've not slept well, you've had an argument with your family, whatever else has happened, you're not feeling it. But if I say, okay, give me an RPE of 85% for how you're feeling, that I'm still happy enough that I've got the 85% and you're happy enough that the load was decreased. So it's that again, it's intentionally making sure that they're training to a set standard, but you can also have deviations and still get the same outcome. That's the way I'll look at it, anyways.
That makes a really good questionnaire, right? Say
Mm,
if you were to do a readiness deal on Excel or whatever software you're using, I'd say it's a good tangible to use, and you could probably use it consistently. It's a click of a button as well. So, yeah, I respect that for sure.
yeah.
I used to have a questionnaire in the team setting as well, and then we had wearables where I was too, so we were able to gauge some data as well. But yeah, I think you said intent. You just ask the kids, and they might not know the answer to this yet. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing this? Not, there's a book, Start With Why. We all know that. Simon Sinek wrote it. It's not, find your why. It's
Mm,
not like I'm becoming this. Find your why. It's not that. Nobody's going to respond to that. I didn't write the book. They're going to respond to, what are you doing this for? Why are you doing it? All right, cool. Here it is. You stick a post-it, whatever tool you want to use to do that. But I think what kids are, my guys now, I have a hockey team now. It's a high school hockey team. It's different than college, but I tell them that they have to stay. You got to stay on the beaten path.
mhm.
Stay on the beaten path. Stay on it. And I always ask the question, or even I don't even know if it's a question, Manny, but I say to myself, like, you got to try to be the guy that you needed at 17.
Mhm.
I need to be that person that I needed, right? And I had a couple people like that, and they were great. Um, but I need to be that. I need to be
Mhm.
that, and I need to be whatever I had a gap in now too. I need to fill that gap that I had at 17 or 18 or in my friggin' 20s when I was moronic, right? I
Yep.
need to fill that gap, um, and stay on the beaten path. Stay
Yep.
on it.
To touch on an earlier point and the sort of growing up and being in sort of less less fortunate neighborhoods, I was part of one of them in where I live, and my coach is the one that sort of saved me from that path. And it's that thing where he kind of knew where I was going, but he knew I really liked S&C and training with him. I was 13 at the time. So he was like, do work experience with me, which is like a module that we have in high schools here. And I did that for a couple of weeks with him. He then brought me back at 14 and was like, I will give you free gym, just come and help me teach the younger groups. And then from then on, it's just like I've just been S&C mad. And it's that thing. It's we're in this industry for one of two reasons: either we got injured and it saved us get back to where we wanted to be, or we've had such a good experience with someone that we want to be that for someone else. And it's like for me, it's funnily enough both. I got injured really badly from some careless coaches, but I had such a good influence in this industry that I was like, I need to pursue this. I want to be that same person for someone else.
Yeah, it's important. Right? It's important to have support. It's important to have mentors. It's important to have people who care about you. Just going back to our original points, it's
100%.
important.
How does a day to day look like at Sanford Sports for yourself, and what kind of comes through the door as the week goes through?
Yeah, our facility opens at 5:15 in the morning. I open the facility
Damn.
5 days a week usually. Right now, yeah, Uh, it's 5:15 is nothing when you got little kids. Trust me, you embrace getting up early. My wife does too. I I open the gym 5:15, and we start off with our open members come in. We have an adult group that starts off at 5:30 in the morning. That's honestly that's my favorite part of the day. When it comes to work, I love our morning adult group. They get after it. They're there for a reason. The reason is, and I keep saying this to them, but I'm like, you're training to be younger next year. I read a book a year ago, and I read the book Younger Next Year, and I fell in love with the book because that's why we're training. We're training so we can fight DK, right?
Hmm.
Like that's what we're training for. We're training to fight the tide. Don't let the tide come in, and they understand that, and they respond to that. Yeah, it's a hell of a book. One of my mentors, Thomas Plummer, told me listen to it first and then read it. So whatever he says is gold. And Tom is one of the greatest people I know, and we've been friends for about 12 years, 13 years now. But he refers that book. I listen to it. And it's amazing. And I read it. But 5:30 in the morning, we have a group, and then the next adult group is 9 a.m. The next adult group after that is 12 p.m. But in between these groups, we have a 6 a.m. high school group. We have personal training, semi-private training, physical therapy clients coming in, and then in the afternoon we have our athlete groups, a high school group, middle school group, youth conditioning group. We have a transformation group. It's another adult group currently trains at night as well. And then simultaneously, and sorry, like I just got to keep going here. Um, we are contracted with 2 to 3 different schools. So we have
Hmm.
strength coaches in high schools who are representing Sanford Health, Sanford Sports, and they're serving the purpose of the social responsibility of being a health and wellness provider for the athletes in that school. Right? That's their social responsibility is to upgrade the human condition within that high school weight room. And it has a touch of us inside of the school. Um, People are loving it in this part of the country, the communities. There's a lot of good buzz with it. We have a great strength and conditioning staff, whether it's Kyle and Thompson, whether it's Dan in Crookston, whether it's Jalen working with a school over at Sacred Heart. Like we are so lucky to have the staff that we have. Like our staff, man, is stellar. STELLAR, stellar. Right? And our physical therapists too. You have a staff. I told them this on Monday. I said, I just want everybody to realize that we have it so good. Don't look back and say, "Oh, I remember how good that was." You know how you got a situation where you're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, remember that staff that we used to have?" I remember being at Boyles, the staff that we had, unbelievable. It's an all-star staff. Like if you rewind 15 years ago, Mike trained us and he did an amazing job and we didn't even know it at the time, and you don't realize it until you get older. I don't want the staff to realize it 20 years from now
Mm.
how special we are here. That's how much
Yep.
I believe in what we do. That's how much I love the people I work with.
Sometimes when I'm speaking with young coaches that I know are passionate and they're driven to be the best they can be, I always like to put it into a little bit of a perspective for them. And we talk about Mike Boyle, we talk about Boyd, we talk about Mac, we talk about all these greats, and at one point they didn't know their ass from their hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like you have to think about you are going to be them at some point. So let's work as hard as you can to for the generation 20, 30 years younger than you to look at you and be like, okay, I this is what I want to become. And I think it's that thing where you kind of have to look a little bit into the future and see what kind of coach you want to become.
Well, I think in this field, either way, you gotta go through a few transformations,
Mm,
right? There's gonna be a metamorphosis process that you can't even fathom. That's going to happen. The one that did happen, you didn't think that was going to happen. You didn't think that you were going to get your ass kicked,
mm,
fall off the horse, make stupid mistakes. Like not me, right? And that's exactly what I did. I got myself in some shit, and that's okay. I did. I got myself in deep, but you get out of it. You make mistakes,
Mhm.
you bounce back, you figure out what's right, you figure out what's wrong, and you try as hard as you can to stay on the correct path. And if it wasn't for the people that were around me, I wouldn't have done it.
100%. It's yeah. Again, self reflection is always something that's going to carry over, and again, mistakes are fucking everything as well.
Yeah, they
Like the more
happen.
mistakes you can make, the better it's going to be. You
They
also have to
certainly
learn from them, though.
They certainly happen. They certainly happen. But I think now, Manny, like with this facility, this is a place I love to be. It's home. Uh, I have a family, and I think my priorities are to make sure that whatever dreams I have, I continue to pursue.
Mm,
But I'm humble enough to know that life is fickle and you can fall off that horse again, and things can happen. So you have to make sure that you're doing everything you possibly can to just be the best version of you, pass it on to your kids, and continue to learn, and continue to do a good job with the task at hand. And that's
100%.
to me, that's a version of fulfillment that every coach
Yep,
should at least strive to have.
100%. With the facilities and how you've sort of built this multiple sort of site, how has that came across, and how do you put these together?
Yeah, I think the first one is if I can take one thing where I'm from, which I'm always going to be proud of. If there's one thing, especially my dad taught me this. Like, if there's one thing my dad taught me and my uncles is how to hustle. Hustle. So what does hustle mean? That goes in so many different areas, but hustling here is what wins. I'm in the Midwest. Things don't move fast. So you can't move overly fast either, but you don't yet have to move overly slow. So you go out there and you be on the offensive. You find your opportunities. You go out there and you say, okay, you know what? This school would really benefit from us being in here. What do we do? How do we do it? Well, we can't do this or that. Okay, fine. Then what can we do? It's just like training, right?
Mm,
Well, I'm not allowed to overhead press. Fine. What can we do? Can you do a landmine press? Can you do a two-arm landmine press? Right? So what can we do under your roof to serve the purpose that you're looking for? Because what we do is not for free, right? It's not for free. It shouldn't be for free. If you're good at something, you never do it for free.
mm,
Now, people will argue with that. People say, "Oh no, come on in. We'll do this, this, this." There's different versions of free. If somebody's getting a comp gym membership, or we're highlighting a testimonial, there are breaks given within that type of reciprocity. Obviously, that's different. We're going to provide a transformation with the transaction because we are good at what we do. We care about what we do. So hustling and finding the opportunities that lie within what do you need, what can we do? Not what you want. We're going to know what everybody wants. They're going to tell us what they want, but what do they need and how can we fulfill that gap? And strength and conditioning it's a hot item, and it always is going to be because you don't have a lot of people in the high school setting. Well, you do. Let me rephrase that. You have a lot more people now in the high school setting as strength and conditioning coaches. It's probably the most important piece of the field to be a
mm.
strength and conditioning coach in, right? Just due to the LTAD model and the PHV and the maturation process of the males and the females. But we provide this product here in this region of the Midwest, and people value our services. They value having a strength and conditioning coach that's at their site. And not only does that strength coach serve the athletic population, but it serves the population that doesn't play sports. And it currently has a faculty fit club because of Kyle,
Mm,
which is a brilliant idea. So
yep,
go in there being willing to train everybody and create the relationships with everybody as well.
100%. Kyle's previously been on the podcast, and that's how we got connected.
He's one of my
And
best friends. He's one of the
he's doing an awesome
Yeah,
job.
he is. He's doing an unbelievable job, and him and I are so fortunate too to be able to be together under this umbrella because we were at a different place before. So this is again spiritual receptivity, right? We are. I'm not. Everybody says hash blast all the time. We are just fortunate to be in the
Yep.
position that we're in, to have the leadership that we have, and we've been on the other side of stuff where we haven't seen like the greener grass before either. Like we haven't we were running through the mud before. where we were, right?
Mm.
And then if you even want to rewind to other experiences in life, we're fortunate. I mean,
Yep.
we work hard. Like we put the pedal to the metal almost every day, and we have families, and we still care about this job more than anything, and they can coexist, they blend, and we love it. I could be in the gym all day. I love my job, right? So
Mm.
that's never changed.
I think that's one thing that separates us from every other industry is that if we don't love to be in the weight room, this job is going to suck
Oh well, yeah.
because like and we spend so much time in it that's like I don't even need to describe it, but if I say in the morning when you walk into the weight room, what's the first smell that you smell? Those irons, the barbells,
Or
like
coffee.
that, or coffee, or coffee. I've drunk too much today.
Yeah, if you're in a real weight room, you got coffee going somewhere, right?
100%.
Right? There's a scene in Creed, right? Stallone and Michael B. Jordan. He's going like this. He goes, "You smell that? I smell coffee." Right? And it's like yeah, like that's the perfect training environment right there. A little dock gym, maybe a leaky pipe. We don't have any leaky pipes, but dock gym, some not Folgers, maybe some local brew going on,
Mm,
right? Yeah, it's a hell of a morning right there. You got your
I know,
people in front of you. It's a great morning.
100%. And
Yeah.
it just it brings that again to wake up at 5, 6, 4 in the morning to come and do this. And like where you are, Minnesota, North Dakota, like it's fucking freezing. That motivation to get up and
It's cold, right? It's cold, but people got to know if you're here, it's cold. There's no surprise. It gets cold, but it's just weather.
yep.
Makes you adaptable. It's just weather. Put a jacket on. You shouldn't, you know. Yeah, that's the thing too with this weather though. This weather is a perfect example of why you need to take vitamin D, and if you lack it because you're not going outside enough, then you need to supplement it with K and magnesium and make sure that you're getting that in you so you can be what more alert,
Happy.
more ready, healthier, right? That's another
I live
version of
it.
health. Yeah, into it. Not it's cold
I
out.
live in Scotland, so
Yeah,
it's the same.
cold out. I don't feel like working out today. 90 days later. Uh-oh. Right?
Yep. Yep.
So
Um, what's uh, what's one resource that you would recommend coaches look into and sort of buy into?
I think I've I've had so many. If from I'm gonna give two. From a strength and conditioning standpoint, if somebody is looking to just be an overall, solid performance specialist, right? Every Day is Game Day by Mark Verstegen is it's just a great book, and it's linear, and it's a great book to follow because it shows you all the sections and contributions to a positive training regime, right? And it gives you a system that you can rely on, and if you master that system, then you can move up above the foundation after that. So that's what that book gives. It's holistic. It gives how do you warm up? How do you do pillar preparation? How do you do a dynamic warm up? Here's your med ball, plyo block. Right, here's your movement skill. Here's your speed block going into power development, going into strength one, strength two, auxiliary, ESD, conditioning, recovery. Exos is a great model, and
Hmm.
I also loved being an Exos employee too. They've done great.
Hmm.
We had a great relationship there as well. So
I
that'd be the
watched
resource. Yeah,
I watched an episode on Exos in Arizona, and that facility is
it's amazing.
unique.
It's
Unique.
amazing, amazing, and they're a great company, and they take care of their employees too. They took care of us, and nothing but good things to say about Exos, and I value the years that I was a part of their team. And then
Nice.
the second edition, the second resource I would give to people, if you haven't read Soul of a Trainer by Thomas Plummer, then it's a good idea to read that because then it gives you the essence of fitness and what's important in your life, and it hits you pretty deep, and it's you figure out really fast after reading the foreword by Dan John that fitness is a really important part of life. And at some point, you're either going to prescribe it to yourself or somebody's going to prescribe it to you. And I don't think you want to wait for somebody to prescribe it to you.
Mm.
So fitness is a celebration that we're alive and that we can move. That is in that book. Now there are a lot of things in that book, Manny, but that book hits hard. And when you attach emotion to fitness, you can motivate anybody. Because
Mm.
once you get that emotional attachment out there, it's like, hey, okay, fine, you don't want to do this? Fine. Well, you got 3 kids. Think they're going to want you to hang out for a while. So why don't
Hmm.
you do this? Because everything is going to get better.
Yep.
Like emotion and fitness need to tie into each other. If you want somebody to like really like, oh, well, I got to do this, I got to do this, but I'll do this in the new year. Just do it every day. Just work out every day. There's all kinds of theories out there how many times you should work out and stuff like that. Work out every day. Work out every day.
Hmm.
Do some type of physical activity every single day. Like not enough people are saying that. Work out every single day. Find your
Yep.
consistency, find that flow, and freaking go.
Or get a dog. It's the same thing. I've got a cocker spaniel. Well, he's a cockapoo, but he looks like like he
Pet
is
will keep
a
you
month.
moving. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just hyper all the time.
But
But no, I
yeah,
agree with it.
yeah, do something every day. Fight the tide. Hey, you're here. You might as well,
Hmm.
right?
That's why to sort of piggyback off that. Um, that's why I love to get goal setting done with athletes as soon as they come in, because again, that's exactly what you're saying. Oh, I thought you wanted to make it pro. I thought you wanted to go to that next level. Like, if you don't want to do it, cool. But that's not what you told me in my office a couple of days ago. And it's sort of that thing of like, yeah, coach is right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the truth, right? I have my wife. She works extremely hard. Um, I watched her trained for the trainer for the Olympics, right? When I look back at that, like she just did the same thing every single day, right? Like we're all in this field, like we're creatures of habit too. Like I do that. My morning is the same morning every single morning, Sunday to Sunday, right? Like I perform differently too. I need to do the same thing every day. Pro athletes, Steph Curry shoots 500 balls a day,
Hmm.
right? Like that's, I mean, if you are going to be great at something, you need to do that every single day. Like I train people every single day. Do I consider myself great? No. Do I consider myself aware of what I am I aware of what I'm doing? Yeah. Do I have a drive? Yeah. Am I trying to help people? Yeah. So if I can bank on those 3 things, then I'm probably going to be a half decent trainer. I
It's
hope.
also that lived experience of doing it. I always say this, and it's something that, again, being in collegiate programs taught me is do the fucking workout, know exactly what they're going for through, so that when you know it starts sucking, you can motivate them for it to suck less. And I always give this example: if like we're talking about 10 10 tens, like 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off, after your first like 2 reps, it's going to fucking start sucking. Like you've got no oxygen coming into your bloodstream. Like your muscles are starting to be sore. You don't want to then do another 10, another 6, another 8, whatever it is. And as a coach, you need to be like, okay, I know you've got more in that tank. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, you have to be able to push yourself. I mean, the human body it's capable of adaptation. I mean, you don't break through a threshold unless you break through the threshold,
Hmm.
right? And that's just it. It happens in it happens in lifting. It happens in the metabolic conditioning. I mean, it happens in everything, right? It happens in learning. If you're not reading, if you're not challenging your vestibular every day, you're not going to break through. Then you got to go to a conversation informationless,
Hmm.
right? You got nothing to bring to the table because all you decided to do is stream Netflix and sit in your phone all day,
Yep.
right? That's it. I mean, and Sunday night you want to put on a show. Hey, cool. But every night just sitting there and the same redundancy over and over. Like I like to learn. If I don't learn, I wasn't like this 15 years ago. I wasn't like this. Thought I knew everything, right? No, I mean I can't get enough of information because it's fascinating to me. Everything's fascinating to me.
That
Everything's
what I usually say
fascinating.
is the more I speak with people, the more I conversate, the less I actually know.
And it's the truth. I think continuity, and humility is. I I think that's the what's it called now? A flex. Here's a flex, right? Here's a flex. Humility is a flex. Like it
You
really
can
is.
tell
Like
you coach young athletes.
yeah, here's a flex. Here's a flex, guys. I'm going to be as humble as I freaking can, but I need you to be confident. But yeah, I mean, it's true though. If you're humble, people respect you. If people respect you, they'll run through a wall for you. Sometimes
100%.
it's quick. Sometimes it takes time for that with certain athletes. Sometimes it doesn't. I've been fortunate to work with a lot of great people, to been coached by a lot of great people, and I'm going to continue to do that because I value all of it, and I value what I do, and I value the people I work for.
100%. What's one piece of advice that you would give new coaches or coaches wanting to come into this industry?
I'll continue to say this. I did it on Ron's podcast too, Coach Max. Give full disclosure. Just always give full disclosure. Don't get caught in a gray area. Because even though if
Yep.
you think you're right, if you think you're right, or if you think you're wrong, or you're in between, just get it out there. Because if not, then you know you're gonna find yourself going down a slippery slope. So if you're in a gray area, you know, get your stuff straight. So, I had an experience in 2015, got myself in a little bit of trouble. Things are mended now; they're fine. But it still will always be a turning point for me because it's one of the greatest lessons I've learned is to give the full disclosure. And yeah, I mean, since then I've done that, and it's really hard to keep things in for me. So if I feel like something's right,
Mm,
cool. If I feel like something's in between and I'm going, I don't know. I'm gonna sit on it. I sit on things for a while, but it's gonna go in the right direction, regardless of what the consequences are, because I will not get myself in the situation I got myself in before, and
yep.
that was due to just just not being completely disclosed. And I learned my lesson from it, and I respect the situation that happened, and I've been better for it. And I promised myself that I would never, ever, ever be that again, and I won't.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's a fuel point for me, right? That's a fuel point, and it always will be because I'll work hard and I'll make sure that I continue to persevere over that little mountain.
100%. What's a hill that you would die on in this industry?
Exercise is for everyone. That's
Yep.
it. Exercise is for everyone. I don't care. I don't care. The current landscape. Everybody. There's so many different things right now, right, going on with the human body, the humans in general, right? Everybody's whether it's a mental deal, a physical gap, a limitation. Everybody can train. So find a way to train. Whether it's adaptive fitness, whether you're hurt, whether you're overweight, you got to find a way to train because it's literally like you're taking a portion of your health and you're in control of it.
Yep.
If you're not exercising, your life is so much better when you exercise. It gets you through almost everything. Like everything. It'll get you through almost everything. Or it'll make that situation less sucky,
Mm-hmm.
right? So exercise is for everybody. Everyone can train. Please, like if somebody's watching this, just spread that gospel. It's not
Yep.
even a gospel, it's just news. Like spread it. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
should train, everybody can train.
I always think of training for a life or death situation. Like if I'm getting chased, I want to outrun. I want to be stronger than that person. So
What if,
I
what if a
try to
mountain
survive.
what if a mountain lion chases you?
I'm fucked.
But that's why you have to train anaerobically and aerobically, right? If you don't
Yep.
have that interval base in your system, it's going to be really, really, really hard to dodge a mountain lion.
Yep.
So,
I'm fortunate that in Scotland there is none. The worst that we've got is probably pheasants.
yeah, they're not going to hurt
Um, I really appreciate you for coming on today. If you let people know what you like, where they can reach you, and how they can get in touch with you as well.
Yeah, sure. Sanfordsports.com is our website. You can reach out to me on Instagram at ammo33est84. The same on X. Facebook, it's just my name, Anthony Morando. I try to use my social media to provide content on just why exercise is important. I throw my little kids up there sometimes because I love them more than anything in the world. And yeah, that's it. I'm just somebody who's here trying to do a good job at what I do, trying to be the best that I can possibly be. And we are lucky to have this job, greatest job in the world to me. So love what I do. Thankful for all the people that have been a part of this little journey of mine.
100%. I really do appreciate you for coming on today. And
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
no, all good. I love, as I said at the start, I love talking to coaches and figuring out how their program differs. And like, even if we have a difference in opinion, I've mentioned this to you before. It's like, let me try and find out why you've came to this conclusion to build your program the way you have. Because again, there's a saying in Portuguese that roughly translates to, you can learn something from everyone, even a dumb person. You can learn not to be them. So I'm it's that thing where you can learn something from everyone. So just have an open mind when you're going into these discussions, into these conversations. That even if you disagree with it, you can probably find out why they've came to that conclusion. And that to me is a bigger learning experience than just being outright like, "Nah, you're wrong," and then the conversation ends there.
Yeah, because and I guess my that's great wisdom. My wisdom on that matter comes from Star Wars and Revenge of the Sith,
Oh, you're
and
going to hate me. I've never watched that.
it's just it's okay. But Obi-Wan Kenobi says to Anakin, who's becoming Darth Vader pretty soon. He says only a Sith deals in absolutes,
Mm,
and dealing in absolutes doesn't really work out unless it's like eating a pizza. Like everybody loves pizza, but if you're dealing in absolutes in this field, then it becomes really hard to talk to somebody because they
mm,
become biased, and then there's no wiggle room, and that's not the industry we should be in, and that's I
yep,
don't I don't believe that's what the industry is like, but there are people out there like that,
yep.
and it's not
Uh,
you and I.
I've learned quick and early on that everyone's good at something else. Let's learn from each other, because again, I have also had a lot of coaches not want to talk. Again, in the UK, the industry isn't as big as it is in the US. There's not as many jobs, so everyone's hanging on to their job for dear life. I always like to say, I don't give a fuck about your job. I'm not interested in it. I like to do my own thing. Yeah, it's yeah. You have to communicate.
Yep.
Uh, One last question, because you mentioned it: pizza, pineapple or no pineapple?
No, no
Oh,
pineapple.
thank God!
Yeah, no.
Thank God!
No pineapple. I'm Italian, man. No, I come from some of the best pizza in the world, so no pineapple. No,
Good.
no.
Now we can be friends.
Yeah, no. You don't put pineapple on a pizza. No, I'm good. I mean, if it's Hawaiian way, if you want to do that, if that's your thing, great. But no, nope. I'm a Pizzeria Regina in the North End in Boston, or Santapio's in East Boston. So
Mhm.
those are two things those are what you die on a hill for.
Yep. I was in Milan at the beginning of the month, and there's like this little marketplace in the center, and it's like artisan pizza. It comes in like these massive square slices, and they just like chop
Oh,
off, put it in the
Sicilian
oven.
cut.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
my favorite was ham, chicken, a little bit prosciutto, and it was just baked. Like the crust was like doughy, but it was like crusty.
Sounds great.
Dreams,
You need a Tums after
dreams.
that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, like, pardon the imagery, but you were blowing that toilet up.
What's that?
You were blowing that toilet up.
Yeah. No, game over. Yeah, game over for sure. Yep. You're gonna be on the hot seat.
Yep. No, I really appreciate you for coming on to
Thanks for
end on
having me, Danny.
to end this
Appreciate you.
podcast.
Thanks, man.